Welcome back into the College Football Every Game on the Board podcast, part number 3 with our 3-hole hitter here, Tony Mejia at Mejia Dinero on Twitter. Check him out, wagertalk.com. Tony, welcome in. How you feeling?
Feeling all right. How about you, Drew?
I'm feeling good, man. Excited to get your opinion on some of these games. I got a couple teams circled here, a little off the radar games, but also some big ones as well. As guys, this is part number 3. We had Major Matt for part number 1. Teddy Covers for part number 2, Tony Mejia for part number 3. We'll have Kelly Stewart for part number 4, and then Rob Vino for part number 5 to get the preview here. And if you're new to Every Game on the Board, we go down in order, hitting every single game on the board. Rotation number at the Wager Talk Live odds screen, those little numbers next to the team name, we're just going down in numerical order. So this is part number 3, starting off with 365, 366, Western Kentucky at Charlotte. 12 noon Eastern kick here, Tony. Minus 16. That's Western Kentucky as the road favorite. 72 being the total. In this Charlotte 49ers team, this might be the toughest team to handicap in the whole country. They fire their coach. They go out on the road and win against Rice, but they've been kind of a dumpster fire all season long here, Tony. High total. I believe it's the highest total on the board. What are you thinking here, Western Kentucky and Charlotte?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. This is a very tough team to handicap because who saw that coming? Certainly not.
Certainly not Tony there. I think we lost him for just a second, right, guys. But Tony, yeah, you might need to reset. Not sure, man. But yeah, Western Kentucky can score. Charlotte as well. They just sent Will Healy out the door, and the first week without him, they played Rice and scored like 50 points. Now, their defense isn't very good. So Rice was able to and they actually shut down Rice, Tony, kept them to just like 20-something points, low 20s. So, hey, maybe they found a defense. Not really sure, man. Think we got you back here. Western Kentucky and Charlotte. Any quick thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think my internet is good again. Western Kentucky comes off a puzzling result, too, because they lost 40-13 to North Texas at home. In a game that they were really looking forward to pulling out to try to get into that conference USA championship game picture. UTSA currently undefeated. North Texas really now in the driver's seat at the number 2 spot with a tiebreaker over the Hilltoppers. It's going to be tough sledding for Western Kentucky, but it starts this weekend against.
All right, let's head to the Pac-12 Conference of Champions up next. 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific kick here. We got 367, 368 Oregon at Colorado. Tony, I think we got you back here. We got the Ducks minus 31.5 as the road favorite. 61.5 being the total in Boulder. Excuse me. You liking anything in the Conference of Champions?
I mean, just these two teams, both 6-2 to the over this season. I think the Ducks should be able to run all day on the Buffs. Mike Sanford does say that running back Alex Fontenot is going to be out there, so that helps their cause. Oregon wide receiver Chase Cota is going to be a game-time decision.
We got BYU and Boise State up next. 369, 370, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific kick here. Broncos minus 7.5. Home favorites, 54.5 being the total on the blue turf.
Yeah, Boise has really been resurgent. Coming back, they fired their offensive coordinator. They've been really their quarterback transferred out. Taylon Green has stepped up. He comes off 227-yard passing against Air Force. And both of these teams can run the ball, but BYU's obviously fallen off a cliff, 4-5, no wins in September. So this is a Boise State spot. Final scheduled matchup for the foreseeable future between these rivals, with BYU moving to the Big 12.
Oh, no, really? I didn't realize that. So, yeah, BYU's probably losing a few of their schedule, right, Tony? I mean, going to the Big 12. So they're going to be playing UCF and teams like that instead of Boise, huh?
Yeah, Boise and Utah. I mean, that obviously Utah BYU is the big thing. They call it the whole Holy War. So I think that is out for the immediate foreseeable future.
Interesting, man. And I know you're a Big 12 or gonna be a Big 12 guy. You used to be a beat writer there for UCF. Do you know how the scheduling is going to work in the new Big 12? Would BYU actually play UCF regularly, or no, that's not going to happen?
No, I don't believe we have divisions yet. But it will be a 2-division format. We'll see how they separate them. I won at Kansas State, so I can rag on Kelly.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Get Kansas State there in the bounce house. That'd be a fun one. We got Arizona and Utah up next. Back to the Conference of Champions here. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific kick here. 67.5 being the total. Utah minus 17.5, as high as minus 18 in Salt Lake.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Rising is the big key here. Surprise scratch against Washington.
Yeah, Cam Rising did get injured there against Washington. Tony, I think we got you back here.
Yeah, I mean, he was Whittingham said he wasn't pulling out any tricks. It's just a matter of Rising pulled something right before the game, and so they had to go with the backup, Bryson Barnes, a walk-on, and ultimately they got the job done. But no Tavian Thomas, he's had some issues. Michael Bernard is banged up as well. So third-string running back Jalen Glover, he's shifty. But yeah, Utah very banged up. They lost Kuthi earlier in the year. Now Dalton Kincaid may not play. He got hurt on a late touchdown against the Cougs. So this could be a spot where Arizona at least plays with the Utes.
We got Colorado State and San Jose State up next. The next two games a little bit later, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific kick here. So Mountain West game here, Tony, 45 being the total. Minus 24.5. Of course, this is a high spread with a low total. Does that interest you in San Jose, California, Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, the Rams come off a 49-10 loss to Boise. I don't think that they score more than 10 points against San Jose State. Chevy Cordero, the Spartans quarterback, doesn't turn the ball over, just threw for 340. This is a Spartan spot or nothing for me. I would want no part of Colorado State plus the points, even though there are many of them to have.
Tony's playing. He's laying in that one. Next Mountain West game here. Hawaii on the mainland up against Fresno State. 62 being the total. Fresno State Bulldogs laying near 4 touchdowns here, Tony. Seen them minus 27.5 in the Valley.
Well, it made a world of difference to have Jake Hayner back, right?
Oh, yeah.
Comes back from a 4-game absence due to the high ankle sprain. Another situation where they didn't know if he was going to play or not. He kind of surprised a lot of people. Finished with 402 passing yards and the rare 2 touchdowns in 13 seconds to really swing that game against the Aztecs. Now Fresno State goes from a team that lost to UConn earlier this season to one that controls its destiny in the Mountain West's West Division and should win that if they play to their potential.
Washington State and Stanford up next, 3:30 Eastern here. We got the Cougs minus 4.5 or minus 5-point road favorites. 51 being the total. Are you liking anything in the farm, Tony?
This is one of those games where I love watching them because you've got two teams basically playing for their season. Both teams have only won once in the Pac-12. The Cardinal is 3-5, but can still get bowl eligible. Washington State is 4-4, but on a 3-game skid. You've got 2 good quarterbacks, Cam Ward and obviously Tanner McKee is a pro prospect, but both very banged up. I mean, I would be interested in taking the points, but the Stanford defense did hold up nicely in the wins against Notre Dame and Arizona State, both comebacks. They held both of those teams in the teens. So, this might be a game just to watch, but it should be physical and it should be competitive. Washington State has won 5 straight in the series, however.
Tony, we got 2 games left in the segment here. We got next one up, California and USC. Heading back to the Pac-12, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific kick. 60.5 being the total. The Trojans, more than 3 touchdown home favorites, seeing minus 21.5 at most shops now. Cal traveling down to LA to play in the Coliseum here, Tony.
Yeah, USC, underwhelming 45-37 win against Arizona, but they were without both Jordan Addison and Mario Williams. They're 2 star wide receivers. Williams is closer to coming back than Addison this week. Linebacker Eric Gentry also potentially comes back. But USC might choose to hold them both out, considering they have bigger fish to fry down the road and should be able to handle Cal. You mentioned this the point spread. Jack Plummer is expected to play through a neck issue after he left the game against Oregon. So he should be back under center for Cal. Okay,
and we got last game here. MTSU and Louisiana Tech heading back east a little bit. 381, 382, 3 o'clock Eastern kick here. Minus 2.5. That is MTSU as the short road favorites. 63 being the total in Ruston, Louisiana, Tony.
Yeah, it's November in college football. We were updating all these injury statuses. Parker McNeil, quarterback, should be back for Louisiana Tech after sitting out the double overtime loss at FIU. You know you're in trouble if you're losing at FIU in anything. And they started a true freshman, looked pretty competent, Landry Liddy. He actually, I was on the over on Friday night in FIU La Tech. They hit it nicely in regulation and went to overtime, double overtime. FIU wins. Chase Cunningham, veteran quarterback, he stayed healthy all year for Middle Tennessee, and they're looking for their first win in Ruston in program history. These teams have met a number of times. I think they get it. I really like Middle Tennessee in this game.
All right, guys, check him out, wagertalk.com. He's Tony Mejia at Mejia Dinero on Twitter. Seeing your page here, Tony. Max plays #1 in 5% profits on spread plays, 53 and 33. That's a nice run there, 62%. MLB 71 and 36. That's 66% for over 100% profit on the 4% plays. So Tony, what else you got going on, man? And do you have a most confident play, the one you like the most out of all the games we talked about?
Yeah, 4% money line plays were really good in MLB this year. NBA spread plays were really good last year. So I mean, it's a mixed bag too, because I'm not going to blow my own horn on other stuff. I've been downright disappointing to myself. But yeah, max plays have been good. World Series play tonight. We had some Champions League action. NBA, you have to check injury reports before you come up on anything. So we'll see if Joel Embiid plays on Wednesday night and going forward through the rest of the week. And as far as these games, I really like Middle Tennessee. I think the discrepancy between the quarterbacks, La Tech welcoming back somebody that has looked okay, but they might have to go with Liddy again. And Cunningham has been solid for the Blue Raiders, and they're trying to get bowl eligible. I think they win in Ruston.
And do you have any Knights update for us? UCF at Memphis this weekend, -3.5 on the road, 58.5 off that big Cincinnati win.
Huge game because no, I have no update for you because the big news there is another quarterback situation where John Rice Plumlee questionable to play. He got hurt against Cincinnati. Mikey Keene, who I'm not a huge fan of, but did a wonderful job in getting staging that comeback and beating the Bearcats. So giving the Knights life in the American. So he might be out there against Memphis. Obviously, I would prefer to see Plumlee. But both quarterbacks are capable of getting a win. The Tigers are, Hannigan can play, but they are a little disappointing this year.
Sure, I saw UCF make the rankings, the playoff rankings. Yeah, how about it? All right, Tony Mejia, guys. Well, I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, Tulane is higher ranked and should be. So that'll be an interesting game down the road, Tulane and UCF. And then obviously Cincinnati's still right there. So the American will be competitive until it
blows up and becomes the Big 12. It will be fun times. Yeah, for sure. Can't wait for that, Tony. All right, guys, check them out, wagertalk.com, on Twitter at Mejia Dinero. That does it for part number 3 of Every Game on the Board. Tomorrow we'll have Kelly Stewart and Rob Vino to finish off the podcast here. So thanks for tuning in. Smash that like button. Feel free to reply below however you were watching. And go check out Tony Mejia, wagertalk.com. Good job as always, Tony. And guys, cash those tickets.